You probably don't consider yourself a sedentary person. You probably think that the whole sitting disease epidemic doesn't apply to you. Well, let's take a moment to think about how we actually spend our days. We start each morning sitting down with a cup of joe. We sit in our cars to drive to work, where from 9 to 5, we're slumped behind our desks, plugging away at spreadsheets and reports. Sitting in our cars, we drive home, where we take a seat to eat dinner. Finally, we park ourselves on the couch and call it a day. On average, we spend 3 hours a day being active. Unfortunately, these active hours cannot counteract the physical effects of all the sitting we do. Spending 87.5% of our time being sedentary is just not conducive to a healthy lifestyle. We have been taught to sit since we were toddlers, eating Cheerios in our high chairs. We then went off to school, where the first lesson was Sitting Quietly 101. As working adults, we go off to work every day, where we spend hours on end slouched in our cubicle. We have a love affair with the chair. In fact, the chair is the most designed and celebrated artifact of the modern era. But sadly, in this case, love hurts. Most likely you spend your workdays a lot like this guy, feeling tired and unproductive in your sophisticated ergonomic chair. Let's take a second to go over exactly what happens when you take a seat. Immediately, electrical activity in the leg muscles shuts off. Your fat-eating enzymes drop by 90%, allowing fat cells to park themselves exactly where you don't want them. Your calorie burn rate drops to less than 1 calorie per minute. As we sit for longer periods, the consequences become more serious to vital organs like the lungs and heart. Oxygen intake to the lungs decreases and blood flow to the heart slows. Prolonged sitting has even been identified as an independent risk factor for cardiovascular disease. Our brain is affected by prolonged sitting too. Blood flow to the brain slows and brain fog sets in, leaving us drowsy and unfocused. Sitting for extended periods compresses the spinal discs unevenly. Collagen hardens around tendons and ligaments, causing back stiffness and pain. All of that slouching you do is more than just a pain in the neck. It can result in cervical strain, overextension of the shoulder and back muscles, and shortening of the pecs. When seated, the hip flexors shorten and tighten too, limiting your range of motion. Sitting requires your abdominal muscles to do absolutely nothing, resulting in unengaged, soft abs. Ready to stand up yet? Conventional ergonomic wisdom dictates that desk-bound workers should maintain a seated posture in which the hips are positioned in a 90-degree angle. These guidelines, first developed by the US military, continue to inform chair design. But it's time to break free. Let us instead take a cue from astronauts floating in outer space. In microgravity environments, our bodies assume their most neutral, unstressed position. With major muscle groups engaged and in balance, our hips open at a 135-degree angle, forming the foundation for a healthy spinal posture. Martin Keene, founder of Focal Upright, gets this. His designs keep the body active and engaged, minimizing the risk of sitting disease and bringing energy to the workday. So what are you waiting for? Join the upright revolution.